News tonight about Iraq. The president announcing all U.S. forces will be withdrawn from Iraq by the end of this year. Many are cheering the president's decision, but many are not. Ambassador John Bolton joins us. Good evening, Ambassador, and I take it that you are one who does not like the way this is unfolding.
No, I think this is a mistake. I think the president effectively made the decision that he was going to have all American forces out by the end of 2011, even before he was inaugurated. And I think the negotiations we've seen over the past couple months were efforts by the Defense Department to try and salvage something. I think the president wanted to be able to say that he had withdrawn all American forces, that he had ended this war. He's now done that, and the consequences, which I think will be substantially negative for the United States, will be his responsibility.
All right, one subcategory. Are we taking out all our contractors? Are we stopping the paycheck to all the contractors over there? Because the one thing I always wonder is that we pull troops out and then we send our private security and we pay more, and then we've actually trained these people first.
Well, I think there may be security. There's certainly security for the U.S. Embassy. There may be security for contractors, but they will not be fulfilling the functions that should be fulfilled by troops staying there in substantial numbers.
But we're not pulling out our troops and then putting in contractors to act as troops, to assume the troops' responsibility.
No, not for trainers, and certainly not for any security purposes.
Right. I guess the big fear is that we move out, Iran moves in.
Look, the sign that this shows is that we've given up. This is treated as a withdrawal. It's not as dishonorable as the way we withdrew from Vietnam.
Why is this seen that way?
Because we have lost influence over the government in Iraq, and it's not just Obama's fault. This agreement was signed in 2008 during the Bush administration, but other Arab countries in the region see this as the beginning of a withdrawal that may pull us out of Bahrain, pull us out of Qatar, pull us out of the United Arab Emirates, and they're very worried about that.
How long, at what point, though, do you get out? Do you say, look, it's time to go home?
We're still in Germany.
Well, a lot of people think we should have.
We're still in Japan.
That Germany can protect itself. It's actually out of the EU. It's the most successful economy. A lot of people think that that Germany should be handling itself. That Japan should. So, at what point would you say it's time to leave Iraq?
Let's put it this way. You can have a good discussion about Germany. If we had pulled out of Germany 9 years after winning World War II, that would have been 1954, not the most optimal time in light of Cold War circumstances. And that's really what a president should decide on. What is the geostrategic reality that confronts the United States? Not some arbitrary deadline that may serve him in domestic American politics. What is the need for these American forces?
So fair enough. There are two issues then: is what's in our interest to stay, and also what is Iraq? What are Iraq's considerations? Although I think ours are paramount to Iraq. But tell me, what are your parameters for that?
Well, I think there are several reasons for us to have stayed. One, because of the risk you mentioned that Iran will now attempt to assert far more influence in Iran, and I think successfully. Second, because being in Iraq is critical to stability in the region as a whole, because of the threat from Iran, because of the uncertainty caused by the Arab Spring. And I think our inability to understand this is something that does go back over an extended period of time, and it unnerves our other friends in the region.
How would we have stayed longer if President Bush struck this Iraqi
He never should have struck it.
Never should have. Okay, got that. But nonetheless, it's there. We got it. That's it. And if President Obama's and if the Iraqi government will not give immunity to our troops past January 1, what are our options? I mean, what was the president's option?
Well, if you say, what are your options in the last 3 months of negotiation, when the leverage is all against you, when the deadline is looming, when this question of immunity, for me, is a deal breaker, then it's very hard to find a way out of it. That's why I believe the president always wanted to get everybody out by the end of the year, and he allowed the negotiations to collapse. So the mistakes have been made over a protracted period of time, and you have to go back earlier than just last week to try and figure out what to do. But I think the answer is you apply pressure on the government of Iraq. We created that government. I'm not fastidious about a hands-off, sovereign nation to sovereign nation relationship. This is our security that's at stake, and we just didn't exercise our leverage adequately by definition, since everybody's coming out.
Are they going to fight among themselves, or is it going to be another country like Iran?
Well, I think Iran is going to do what it can, but I think there's every reason to believe that among the Sunnis, the Shia, and the Kurds, that we're going to see the country descend again into civil war. And that, to me, is the most unbelievable thing, that everything our brave forces have fought and died for could come unstuck here.
Ambassador, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And straight ahead.